Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a couple of designs of Rick and Morty characters as Magic the Gathering cards. The new Ikoria set came out, I think last month or this month. I can't tell anymore because quarantine's getting to me. But they have showcase cards where they take the card that's already there and they give it a new look with an already existing property. So they've been doing Godzilla as some creatures in the Ikoria set, and I wanted to take a stab at taking some Rick and Morty characters and turning them into cards that I think kind of represent them. So let's jump into it.
It also means don't touch your parents or we could shatter into countless theoretical shards.
Wait a minute,
and
what?
Away we go!
So first out we're starting with Rick, the titular character from Rick and Morty. There is an ongoing reference, not necessarily a joke, in my friend's group who plays Magic with the card Laboratory Maniac. Obviously, laboratory scientist, people immediately want to put Rick from Rick and Morty, because he's a maniacal person, as Laboratory Maniac. So I did just that. I took Rick, I put him in the card for Laboratory Maniac, but I wanted to kind of reimagine it a little bit, so I thought it would be interesting to kind of come from the perspective of what if the characters from Rick and Morty ended up in the world of Magic the Gathering. So I tried to take some locations that I knew from Magic the Gathering or were just referenced in art and kind of give it the feel that they were in those locations. So I didn't want to make it too much of the style of Rick and Morty or too much of the style of Magic the Gathering. I tried to meet somewhere in the middle, which is good because that kind of fits into a comfort zone for me. I don't really go too hyper realistic. I don't really like going too far into painting because I'm very impatient, but I also don't want to just do super simplistic line art, super simplistic colors. I felt like it was a nice balance. This card specifically is taking place in the Temple of Deceit, which is in Magic the Gathering in Theros, and I believe it's the shrine to the god of deception, Erebos? God Erebos. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we just saw I was putting the detail on the wall, and that was probably the most annoying part of this whole thing. I took forever to get it right because I couldn't replicate the design that was in the card. Sorry, I'm giving everyone a seizure right now. Oh my god. So I just kind of tried to find something that was like close enough to that design. I just wanted to give the feeling of an intentional design being patterned through the wall. And I took a paintbrush effect pen and tried to use that to make the wall look like it was tearing paint away over time, that, you know, it's not being upkept very well. Moving into colors, I wanted to make sure that it was very atmospheric, so I tried to add lots of blues to the colors I was using. Each color I was using probably has a little bit of a darker grayish blue poured into it, and since we're also having the green from the portal, green shadows was obviously very important for this. I wanted to make it look like the portal was radiating a lot of light in a very dark environment, so I didn't have like the candles on in the background or any other light sources coming in, because I didn't want to overcomplicate it for myself. I thought it'd be simpler, and sometimes simpler is a little better. For anyone who uses Krita or Photoshop, I don't know exactly what the tool will be called in Photoshop, but there is a light effect brush in Krita that I used to get the portal to look brighter, and it just kind of slightly ups the saturation of some colors and brightens white in the middle. So that's how I kind of got that effect. Here is the final card. The ability is that if you would draw a card while you have no cards in your deck, you win the game. So it's a pretty cool card. I think making him have the Death Crystal, making him look so crazed with anger really adds to that effect of the card, and I just wanted to make sure I had the nice atmosphere, and I feel like it all really came together. So let's move on to the next one.
I am Phoenix Person.
Phoenix person. Is that what we settled on? I thought we all agreed on Cyberbird.
Next is Phoenix person or Bird person after he's killed. I don't think spoilers really matter for Rick and Morty. It's not like they want an actual story. I was using Brea Ethereum Shaper as the base for this card. It's one of my favorite cards, and I wanted an alternate commander for my Brea deck. So Brea's thing is using artifacts in lots of different ways, whether to gain life, deal damage, destroy stuff. So I wanted to include a lot of like mechanical stuff in this, and I was going to add a bunch of little robots, which are kind of sketched out there already, but I had such a hard time with the wings and like all the metal pieces and making it feel three-dimensional that I kind of gave up on the robots because I didn't think I was going to come up with a satisfying design that wasn't going to take absolutely forever. I think machines and buildings are probably one of my weakest points. So I tried to find, again, a nice middle ground here that wouldn't make me work too hard on something that I didn't think I needed to. But also I was still pushing myself to do something that was a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So I decided to put this whole thing in space because I could use the space to kind of represent the colors of the card, which are black, white, blue, red. And I used purple in space of black because I didn't want to just put a giant black cloud in the background because it wouldn't really feel as colorful and fantastical. Colors for the armor was a little difficult because I wanted to find something that felt futuristic, and I was using like a soft blue-gray at first, but it felt too much like metal bars, and I don't know, the carbon fiber is like anything I think of when I think of realistic. Carbon fiber and like a matte gray. And I felt like that would help the blue and the red lights pop out a little bit. You might have seen earlier I was using pictures of boulders I got on Google Images as references for asteroids. I kind of use them as a base of inspiration. Like I set them out in the page at different like sizes to convey distance. Just to kind of get an idea of what it might look like. It helps me visualize it a lot easier, and then I also can mess with the form then and warp it as I'm outlining it, so I can not exactly just use the shape of the boulder I found, and they're not all exactly the same shaped boulder. Lighting was super important in this one. Again, I think lighting makes or breaks a lot of pieces, because it could really make a character not feel like they're in the environment at all. And you don't want a character just floating out in front of a painting of a background. You want them looking like they're part of the scene. So one thing I wanted to do with that was make sure I was using a lot of bouncing light from the character himself, and also letting light from the background affect the other objects and him in the background. And because a lot of stuff is in the distance, I wanted to make sure that the rocks felt like they weren't just in the foreground and separate from the back of, like all the clouds and stuff. So I did take a watercolor brush and I used it to overlay clouds onto and behind and in front of the boulders and asteroids. So here's the final card. I think it looks really awesome. I like overlapping the wing onto the top part of the card. Kind of pops them out a little bit more, makes it a little more dynamic. I'm excited to get this card. I think it's going to look awesome when I get to show it off in my games.
What? Hello?
Last one I'm going to be doing is Jerry. I took the character, or the card Norrin the Wary, which is a card whose ability is to, anytime any spell is played while he's out, he exiles himself and then comes back to the field at the end of the turn. Kind of represents like running away constantly, and I felt like that fit Jerry pretty well because he's scared of like everything. Yeah, runs away but never dies. That's the big thing. The thing I'm most proud of in this one is the squirrel and the wood paneling on the floor. I think I did a pretty decent job with the perspective, and I used my references well for the squirrel. I think it came out pretty nice. The lighting in this one's going to be difficult, but what I needed to make sure was that I was reflecting the like red atmosphere of the card and the light itself. So there's a lot of bouncing light because it's a dark cave. There you can see no more references I have of dark caves. I think I used some stuff from like Skyrim and other Elder Scrolls games since they use a lot of like caves and stuff. I'm not very proficient at rocks, but I really tried my best to replicate the stubbliness and the rigidness of the rock with the lighting and with the texture of the rock itself. The swirl was the absolute hardest part. I had the squirrel sitting on top of the light, so I had to do underlighting, but also take into account that it's sitting on the lamp ceiling, so it's not getting lit from the exact bottom. So I had to do heavy shadow on the bottom, but also do heavy light from the sides that would be getting the light from the sides of the lantern. Jerry was probably one of the easiest things to shade. And for Jerry, I think I just used a lot of lasso tooling to get big chunks of lighting and then just kind of fix up the lights from there. Anyway, I really like how this one came out. It's probably my least favorite. I don't think I pushed the atmosphere far enough, but I had to go with my gut, and usually what I learned from my partner is if you're 70% okay with it, if you like how it is up to 70% of it, then you should just let it go. And I was 70% happy with this. I felt like it still looked pretty complete. I felt like it was going to be very stressful to just keep on pushing it until I felt like it was absolutely perfect. And I think it turned out pretty good. I can't wait to get these cards in person, because I think they'll look even better when they're a lot smaller. And I had a lot of fun making these. I was gonna do a whole nother set of Rick and Morty cards, but I got really tired of doing Rick and Morty drawings. So I might come back to this and do more Ikoria alters of these. If you guys like them, then I'll probably pick another property. I'll take suggestions for ones. Maybe we can do some like Animal Crossing cards, or I don't know what else is popular, Steven Universe. But I would love to do more card alter stuff. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what your favorite was down in the comments below, or what you'd like to see me do next. Bye bye.